Hello everyone! Welcome back to our Math 8 YouTube channel. At kung hindi ka pa nakasubscribe, mag-subscribe na para updated kayo sa ating mga lessons weekly. And for this week, week number 5, we're going to discuss lesson number 4 for the second quarter, which is all about conditional statements. Are you ready to learn? Let's go! Conditional statements. These are also called an if-then statement. Conditional statements has two parts. The if, which is the hypothesis, and the then, which is the conclusion. In the conditional statement, you have to identify the hypothesis and conclusion. Okay. For your learning task number 1, in the conditional statement, let us identify the hypothesis and conclusion. So let us have an example. Number 1, if MJ is in grade 8, then he is 14 years old. As you can see, we have the word if, and then we have the word then, which is the hypothesis and which is the conclusion. Very good. The hypothesis is the statement with the word if, and that is MJ is in grade 8. That is the hypothesis. How about the conclusion? Very good. The conclusion is the statement with the word then. So the conclusion, he is 14 years old. Number 4, if an integer is divisible by 5, then last digit must be 0 or 5. So since an integer is divisible by 5 has the word if, that is the hypothesis. While then last digit must be 0 or 5, it has the word then. Therefore, the conclusion is last digit must be 0 or 5. So for your task, learning task number 1, you are going to identify the hypothesis and conclusion of item number 2, number 3, and number 5. You're going to write your answer on a sheet of paper. Now, let us continue our discussion about conditional statement. Conditional statements is also called an if-then statement. It has a truth value of true or false. A conditional statement to be true show that when hypothesis is true, then the conclusion is also true. Ibig sabihin, ang statement natin na conditional ay magigilang true kung ang hypothesis mo ay true. Ibig sabihin, ang conclusion, that is also true. While to be false, you need to have a counter-example where hypothesis is true, but the conclusion is false. So, para naman maging false, dapat may pang-counter ka dun sa hypothesis mo. So, kung ang hypothesis mo ay true, ang conclusion mo ay false. Alright? So, let us have an example. Number 1. If 3x is equal to 24, then x is equal to 8. Let us study the given example. Kung ang 3x daw ay 24, ibig sabihin, ang value ng x ay 8, try nating i-times yung 8 sa 3. Kung ang x ay 8 times 3 is equal to 24. Therefore, this is a true conditional statement. Yun ay true. Bakit? Because there is no other value of x that will make the equation 3x equals 24 except the value of 8. Wala nang ibang pwedeng i-substitute na number sa x para maging 24 ang 3x kundi 8 lamang. Kaya ang example number 1 ay true conditional statement. Nakuha? Example on how to show that the conditional statements are false. Ito naman yung nagpapakita ng false. If x square is equal to 64, then x is equal to 8. Pag-aralan natin. Kung mapapansin nyo, yung x square ay 64. So if we substitute x as 8, 8 square is 64. Ay sir, tama naman. Bakit siya naging false? Because, ayan, the conditional statement is false since the conclusion have other value. Ibig sabihin, may iba pang value ng x para ang sagot ay 64. At ano yung iba pang value na yon? Negative 8. So we have the counter example, which is negative 8 square is also equal to 64. So may iba pa palang value aside from 8. Kaya ang statement number 2 ay conditional statement which is false. Nakuha? Another example of false conditional statement. If a figure has 4 equal sides, then it is a square. Kapag daw ang figure ay may 4 na side, ito daw ay square na. Tama ba? Meron pa bang ibang figure na may 4 equal sides? Tingnan natin. The conditional statement is false. Bakit? Hindi lang naman square ang may 4 equal sides. Meron din tayong rhombus na may 4 equal sides. Alright? So, kaya ang ating statement number 3 ay false conditional statements. Alright. So, how to write simple statement or in other book, general statement ang tawag into conditional statement. So, paano daw isulat ang isang simple na statement? Gagawin nating if and then or conditional statement. Let us have an examples. Okay. Example number 1. Ang simple statement natin ay ito. Pangungusap lang to ha. A rectangle has 2 pairs of parallel sides. Very simple. We have here the noun, which is a rectangle, and then the predicate with has 2 pairs of parallel sides. Now, paano siya gagawing if and then? So, in this case of simple statement, dapat identify na kaagad natin dyan alin yung ating pinag-uusapan bilang hypothesis and alin dun yung tumutukoy or the predicate that will be our conclusion. Okay, tingnan natin ang conditional statement. Take a look at this one. Since sa simple statement, ang pinag-uusapan natin ay yung rectangle, at ano ba ang rectangle? That is a figure. Then, ano yung tumutukoy sa rectangle? It has 2 pairs of parallel sides. So, meaning to say, since we are talking about the rectangle, our hypothesis is if the figure is a rectangle. So, gumamit tayo ng another word that will describe the rectangle, which is, that is a figure. Then, we attach the word if, because that is the hypothesis. Then, ano raw yung rectangle? Then, it has 2 pairs of parallel sides. So, kung mapapansin nyo sa ating conclusion na then, ando na yung predicate, yung tumutukoy doon sa rectangle. Yung rectangle daw ay, it has 2 pairs of parallel sides. So, the conditional statement is, if the figure is a rectangle, then it has 2 pairs of parallel sides. Now, what is the hypothesis? Again, the hypothesis is the statement with the word if. That is, the figure is a rectangle. Now, what is the conclusion? Alright, the conclusion is the statement with the word then. And it has 2 pairs of parallel sides. So, that is the hypothesis and the conclusion. Nakuha? Okay, let us have another example. Okay, simple statement. The number is prime. It has only 2 factors. Ano ba yung pinag-uusapan dyan? the number na prime. Ano daw yung number na prime? It has only two factors. O, di ba? Yung pinag-uusapan na number na prime, it has only two factors. So, based from that, we can formulate the conditional statement that if the number is prime, we attach the word if, no, doon sa pinag-uusapan which is the number is prime. Then, it has only two factors. So, in our conditional statement, again, we have the word if, and we have here the word then. So, what is the hypothesis? Alright, the hypothesis is the statement with the word if, and that is, the number is prime. Now, what is the conclusion? Alright, the conclusion is, it has only two factors. Ito naman yung statement na nandun sa may salitang then. Alright, any question? Let us have one more example. The simple statement. 1/2 of a number is 12. The number is 24. 1/2 daw ng number, ay 12. Ano ngayon? Then the number is 24. O diba, dun pala ang sa pagtatanong mo sa simple statement, nakakakuha na tayo ng conditional statement that if 1/2 of the number is 12, ano ngayon, diba? Then, the number is 24. Kasi kalahati ng 24 ay 12. So, we have here the word if, and then we attach the word then. So, based from that, our hypothesis is 1/2 of the number is 12 kasi ito yung statement na may kasamang if. And our conclusion, the number is 24. So, I hope you get how to write a simple statement into conditional statement. Now, Venn diagram. Venn diagram can be used also to illustrate conditional statement. Things that satisfy the hypothesis must be inside the things that satisfy the conclusion. Okay, pag-aralan natin ang example na to. If a number is an integer, then it is a real number. From this statement, ang ating hypothesis is a number is an integer. And in our conclusion, then it is a real number. So since the conclusion is a real number, dapat yung nasa malaking circle must be the real number. Since ito yung nagsasatisfy. And yung nasa maliit na circle na nasa loob ng real numbers, that is an integers. Bakit? Because if an integer or if a number is integer, kapag daw itong number na to ay integer, then ito ay sakop, no? Ito ay nasa loob lamang ng real numbers because an integer is a real number. So we are using here a Venn diagram. Let us have another example, number 2. If you are a Filipino, kung ikaw daw ay isang Filipino, then you are an Asian. So if you have two circle, alin kaya yung nasa malaking bilog at alin yung nasa maliit? So since if you are a Filipino, then you are an Asian, ibig sabihin, yung nasa malaking bilog natin is Asian because a Filipino is an Asian. So tayo ay Asyano. Ibig sabihin, yung malaking bilog, ito yung iba't ibang lahi ng Asian, and a Filipino is an Asian. So, we have here the Venn diagram. Now, what if the given is Venn diagram and we are going to write the conditional statement? So, ang given naman ay yan, Venn diagram na yan. Take a look at that. Yung nasa malaking bilog ay Calabarzon. Yung nasa maliit naman ay Rizal. So, what can you say about that Venn diagram? Yung Rizal ay nasa loob at yung nasa malaki ay Calabarzon. Anong ibig sabihin or anong gusto niyang statement na conditional para sa atin? So, let us take a look at the answer. If you reside in Rizal, then you are from Calabarzon. Kung ikaw ay nakatira sa Rizal, ito yung Rizal, then you are from Calabarzon because sakop ng Calabarzon ang Rizal. O, diba? Now, can you cite another conditional statement based from this Venn diagram? So, kung may naiisip pa kayong related at pwedeng conditional statement gamit ang Venn diagram na to, pwede nyong i-take down notes sa inyong papel. Alright? Another example of Venn diagram. We have here the vegetables nasa malaking circle and the eggplant na nasa loob ng vegetables. So, what do you think is the right term? The right conditional statement? Let us take a look at the answer. If you eat eggplant, then you eat vegetables. Pag kumain ka ng eggplant, kumain ka na ng gulay because an eggplant is a vegetable. Sakop ng vegetable ang eggplant. Alright? So, can you think of another conditional statement based on this Venn diagram? Kung may naisip kayo, pwede nyong isulat sa inyong papel. Alright! So, for your learning task number 2, we are going to change the statement to an if and then or conditional statement. Then you are going to identify the hypothesis and the conclusion. So, yung 1 to 5 na yan, lahat yan ay simple statements. Ang gagawin natin, i-change natin sa if, then, or conditional statement. Then, identify natin anong hypothesis at conclusion. Magbigay ako ng isang example. Yung example number 1, you pass grade 8. You will be in grade 9 next school year. So, ano yung pinag-uusapan dyan? Kapag pumasa ka ng grade 8. Eh, ano ngayon mangyayari? Siyempre, you will be in grade 9 next school year. Therefore, our conditional statement ay, if you pass grade 8, then you will be in grade 9 next school year. Diba? The hypothesis, you pass grade 8 because it has the word if. And the conclusion, you will be in grade 9 next school year because we have here the word then. Alright? Another example. Example number 4. Circles with the same centers or concentric circles. Ano yung pinag-uusapan natin doon? Yung circle daw na may parehas na center. Eh, ano sila? They are concentric circles. So, base doon, we can create the if and then. That, if circles have the same center, eh, ano? Then, they are concentric. Diba? So, nagkakaroon tayo ng konting rephrasing, nagkakaroon tayo ng konting substitution of words, no, na ginagamit para mas mapaganda ang conditional statements. Katulad sa ating simple statement na gumamit tayo ng with, pero sa conditional, ginawa na natin siyang have para mas mapaganda. Okay? Then, do sa ating then statement, tinanggal na natin yung circles since ginamit na natin siya sa if statement. So, the conditional statement again is if circles have the same center, then they are concentric. What is the hypothesis? Circles have the same center. And the conclusion, they are concentric. Alright? So, for your learning task, you are just going to answer number 2, number 3, and number 5. Tatlo lang dyan sa learning task number 2, letter A. Now, let us have letter B. Determine if the conditional statement is true. If not, give a counter example. So, I think kaya na tong sagutin ng true or false, then counter example. Hindi na ako magbibigay rito ng example since nakapagbigay na tayo sa discussion. Madali lang naman to, no? Identify nyo lang if the conditional statement is true or false. Then if false, give kayo ng counter example. Alright? So, let's proceed to learning task number 3. Letter A. illustrate the following conditional statement in Venn diagram. So, gagawa na tayo dito ng bilog, no? Venn diagram, isang malaking bilog at isang maliit na bilog. Okay, so let us have an example. Okay, example number 1. If it is a rectangle, it is a quadrilateral. So, dahil ang conclusion natin na kapag daw ito'y rectangle, ito'y quadrilateral, so yung malaking bilog natin represent the quadrilateral. Because a rectangle is a quadrilateral. And ang nasa loob ng maliit na bilog ay rectangle. So, ganyan lang ang gagawin. Okay? Another example, number 4. If it is a fraction, then it is a rational number. So, it is stated that kapag daw ito'y fraction, then ito ay rational number. So, ang nasa malaking bilog, the conclusion is the rational number at ang nasa liit na bilog naman ay fraction. Okay? So, what task are you going to answer? So, same with learning task number 2, you are going to answer 2, 3, and 5 only. Alright? And finally, letter B, learning task number 3, interchange the conclusion and the hypothesis. Pagpapalitin ng pwesto si conclusion at hypothesis, pero maiiwan yung salitang if at then. No? So, we have here, if it is an eagle, then it is a bird. O, take a look at that. Example. Ang nasa if statement ay it is an eagle. And the then statement, it's a bird. Now, pinagpalit ng pwesto. It's a bird, mapapapunta sa if. Then, it is an eagle, mapapapunta sa then. So, the answer is, if it's a bird, then it's an eagle. So, the resulting statement is not true since not all birds are eagle. No? Hindi siya totoo kasi kung ito'y bird, ito'y eagle na. Diba? So, that is a false statement. Pwede namang hindi eagle yung bird. Alright? So, in item, this one, etong blank na to, if it is an equiangular, then it is an equilateral, you interchange. And then, if it is a rectangle, then it is a quadrilateral, you interchange the position. Then, identify if that is a true or a false. Alright? And that's the end of our week number 5, lesson number 4, which is all about conditional statement. Thank you very much. God bless and happy learnings, everyone.